is a pipette. We use it to suck or collect the base, where we will finally introduce it in these conical flask before we now put drops of indicator. There are two capacity pipettes. This is 25 ml capacity pipette, and then we have a shorter one which is 20 ml capacity pipette. The difference is just the size. This is the longer one and the other one is the shorter one. Now there is a graduated mark here, a ring mark here, where once you suck your base, make sure you exceed the mark a little bit, then use your finger to cover it and then place it inside the beaker and then remove your hand slightly so that you will allow the excess to move down until the lower meniscus is on the ring mark. At this point, you will achieve the required volume of the pipette. This will form the volume of the base we will use in our calculation. This is also a pipette, but we call it pasture pipette. It's made of rubber because we can use it to collect the indicator and put drops inside this conical flask. But first of all, I will have to add my acid. From the distance of this camera, you will see how I introduce my acid in my burette. And then you will make sure that after adding your acid, that you open up this clip so that some amount of the acid will also be on the mouth of this jet. This is another type of what I'm saying. This is the rubber nozzle where the clip is holding, and this is the jet. You will allow some of the content of this burette, which is the acid, to stay inside this particular space in the jet. How do you achieve that? You make sure you overflow this thing a little bit so that when you release it, some of the content will stay inside the jet. The reason why we are doing this is to make sure that this is the exact volume of the burette that we said we are using. It is very important to note that we do not add base in this burette, because if you are using a rubber nozzle in your burette and then you introduce a base here, after your experiment, if you leave it for some days, this rubber will damage. It will become stiff because the base will corrode the pipe and make it stiff. The same thing will happen for the type of burette that has a tap. The base will corrode some portion of the tap with the body of the burette, which are both made of glass. By the time you finish your experiment and leave it for some time, the corrosion will cause it to stiff, to glue together permanently. That means your burette has damaged. This is why we always use acid in this particular portion of this setup. All right, so I want to introduce my acid. You do it carefully and make sure that your nozzle is not leaking. Then I'll try to fill it again to reach the 0 mark. At this point, I have overflowed this particular burette. I will remove my funnel so that my funnel will not continue to introduce the acid inside the burette. Now, I will also have to bring down these excesses to 0 mark. Look the way I look at this. At this point, it is my 0 mark. Then in my table, I will write that my initial volume of acid for the first titer is 0.00. Remember that you must make it 2 decimal places. I said 0.00. Then it is time to take required volume of the base, which is what 25 ml capacity pipette, meaning that we are having what 25 what cm³ of the base. I allowed it to exceed it slightly, then I will carefully open my hand a little bit to allow the base to move down until it gets to the what? It gets to the mark. This is it. This is the mark. I'm going to introduce it in my conical flask. Allow it to drop. Please, while conducting this particular experiment, make sure you take the precautions. Notice that I'm just tipping it slightly so that the excess is inside this particular pipette will drop. I did not blow it. If you blow it, you are going to introduce air bubbles or even impurities from your mouth. So I'm going to collect my indicator. This is methyl orange indicator. Then you will carefully drop 2 drops or 3 drops as the case may be. I just dropped 2 drops of the indicator here. Then you close back your indicator. Notice a slight change in the color. It was colorless before, but now it is orange. Now, when we are going to be conducting this titration, you will be noticing change of color. What causes the notice of that change of color is the presence of your indicator. It just brings out the color change as soon as neutralization has occurred.